Dr. Adesola Adeduntan, Chief Executive Officer, FirstBank Group. Thank you so much for joining me in the Channels Business Global Studios here in London. I do like to start off the show with a positive story, and that's what we're going to be talking about, because you've just delivered some pretty extraordinary first half numbers. In fact, I believe this is the best first half result you've had in your 130-year history. Let's crunch the numbers and talk to me about how the group was able to achieve that.
Okay, thank you for having me in your studio this morning. Yes, you're absolutely correct that the result that we released is actually the best result in the checkered history of our iconic institution. FBN Holdings PLC, which is the listed entity, released a PBT of 206 billion as at 30th of June 2023. When you compare this to where we're coming from, where we were about a year ago, this is an extraordinary performance over what we did same time last year. And it's actually anchored on the transformation that we started in 2016 when I was appointed as the Chief Executive Officer of FirstBank Group, which is the biggest, the commercial banking arm of FBN Holdings, which accounts for anything north of 90% of FBN Holdings. We've been very deliberate, we've been very strategic, we've been very clear with our mandate that we need to take the institution to the next level. In doing that, we've focused, one, on leveraging technology to deliver top-notch services to our customers. We've also focused on growing the customer base. And when you grow your customer base, invariably then the volume of transaction will go up. We've also been very deliberate in pivoting the institution away from what used to be a credit-led institution to now a transaction or transactions-led institution. What does that really mean? We focus significant resources, we expended significant resources, leveraging technology in building both our wholesale and retail digital businesses. And today we can say with a lot of pride that we have over 22 million active customers transacting on our digital platforms. On the wholesale side, we do control a sizable share of the market. Indeed, when the last time I reviewed the industry average, over 12% of the electronic payments within Nigeria goes through FirstBank,
Wow.
so which is quite significant. We've also used technology to move traffic away from our branches. So the way we say this is that we've successfully transformed from being a purely brick and mortar bank to become what we call a brick and click.
Brick and click.
Brick and click. So which means you can either go to a branch, or you can just click on your phone or your internet and you're there. Today, about 95% of our customer-initiated transactions are carried out on alternative channels, which means outside of our branches, which is quite significant. The global benchmark is about 75. So when you do more than 75, you're actually regarded as a digital bank. We today, we do over 95% of our customer-initiated transactions are conducted on channel. So that basically speaks to how the institution over the last 7 to 8 years has pivoted from being a brick and mortar, like I said, to a brick and click institution, leveraging technology to deliver superior service. And when you look at our balance sheet, the balance sheet also reflects the increase in the volume of transactions going through the bank. Today we have, our balance sheet is in excess of 13 trillion. When you see the way we play in the digital area, like I said, and you see, you discover that this is a 130 years old institution, we've been quite successful in that transformation effort.
It's very impressive. What I've got to say, banks' profitability across the world is similar to yours. You know, we're bang in the middle of trading season and updates to shareholders, and we're seeing similar high numbers across the board. I think that's got lots to do with high interest rates at the moment. And you're right, talking about bricks and mortars. We're in London. I think you'd have to go 10 minutes from where we are to find a branch, because they are closing so swiftly, because everybody is moving online. I want to talk to you more about innovation, because I know that resilience is really part of your mandate. You are Nigeria's oldest bank, but you like to be a pioneer. You like to remain innovative. How important is that to your bottom line and to ensure that you retain your market position?
Very interesting question. Innovation is actually at the heart of our business strategy. In fact, our core values as an organization has innovation as one of the 4 key pillars. Our view really is that the only way that an incumbent institution like ours could remain relevant and dominant is that you have to continuously be part of disruption. Yeah. You must be ready to lead disruption. You must be ready to be a part of disruption. And we've been very focused on innovation, leveraging technology. And I'll step back and I give you some very important data points that speaks to this. 2016, we had barely 60,000 users on our first mobile app. Today, we have over 6 million. 2016, we had barely, put it at the same level, about 50, 60,000 users on our USSD. Today, we have over 13 million users of our USSD. That same 2016, when I started as CEO, our online banking application had about 50,000 users. Today, we have about 1.1 million users. So you will see how we've leveraged technology, because the only reason why people will use your mobile app or your online app, it has to be available to them 24/7. It must be deemed to be safe, so they know they won't lose their money. And we've been quite successful. Like I mentioned in the earlier response to your question, we have over 22 million users today using our digital channels for the purpose of transacting with us. Beneath that, it's innovation, leveraging technology. We've also been quite aggressive in leveraging modern technology, robotic processing automation, for example, artificial intelligence, using that to drive not just innovation at the front end meaning what the customers see. We've also used this technology to actually improve our efficiency, the efficiency of processing internally. So I can say categorically that the key reason why this organization has continued to be a relevant financial institution, not just in Nigeria, but across the sub-Saharan African region over the last 129 to 130 years, is innovation is ingrained in the DNA of our organization. But what you are seeing, what you are witnessing in the last 8 to 10 years, we are now leveraging technology even much more to deliver superior services.
There's so much I want to unpack with you, particularly about artificial intelligence, because of course there's lots of discussion about artificial intelligence. Should we embrace it? Should we be afraid of it? I would like to know a little bit about how you're using that within the FirstBank group, because of course, you know, the concern is it's not been tailored for Africa. How are your customers able to use it? How are your staff able to implement it?
So again, we you know, I've always been an advocate of early adoption of new technology. You can take baby steps, and then you basically just mature into it. So for us, we leveraging it to do data analytics. So it enables me to predict, for example,
if I'm going to pay back that loan?
If you're going to pay back that loan, for example, if you purchase something at ShopRite, for example, and it looks at your pattern of transactions, it can easily tell you this is likely going to be what we call it the what next decision. So there's several uses to which you can put as artificial intelligence, robotic process automation, and for us is to safeguard the way it is used and ensure that the business purpose are very clear. There are proper gatekeeping and there are proper monitoring tools that ensure that it's not used for purposes other than for which it was acquired and designed.
Yes.
I would say so far so good. We must be early adopters. And for me, this is part of where we as a continent, Africa, we have because we don't have too many legacy systems, we have the opportunity to leverage emerging technology to leapfrog the market.
Well, hopefully that's what you'll be doing. I'm going to ask you one final question. Please permit me to put two in one. I know that you have subsidiaries operating in 9 countries, including where we are in the British capital, but it would be remiss to not talk about what's happening in Nigeria and the environment for banking at the moment. I've got to tell you, there is a lot of buzz around Nigeria at the moment, which is refreshing for us in the diaspora. We're not just talking about insecurity, we're talking about opportunity. And there does appear to be more opportunity coming from the new regime. I want you to talk a little bit about that, if you can, about the banking environment on the ground, but also the subsidiaries and what your hopes are in the coming years.
So part of what we've been quite successful at as FirstBank is that we have moved away from being a pure Nigerian bank to now become what we call an African bank with Nigerian nucleus.
Yes.
So today, like you mentioned, we operate out of Ghana, Guinea-Conakry, Senegal, the Gambia, Sierra Leone, Democratic Republic of Congo, and we also do have a significant presence here in the UK, China, and Paris. Part of what, again, I referenced 2016, which I want to call the point of departure. We've invested in all these subsidiaries, and today they are major contributors to the performance of the organization. We've also used that platform to promote the objectives of the African leaders, which is a single African market that allows Africans to trade more among themselves. Indeed, our bank in the UK, we pride ourselves as being the foremost African bank, the foremost European bank for the purpose of making investment in Africa. So the subsidiaries are doing very well. They're making very significant contribution into our bottom line and promoting the vision of a unified African market. Again, you could see a clear linkage between our home business strategy and that of the African leaders, because when the African leaders met and they signed the African Continental Free Trade Zone Agreement to promote intra-African trade, banking is an integral part of what is that. And without banking, without providing banking services across the continent, that vision would be much more difficult to realize. So we built something on the back of that. So for us, we are very excited about the overall promise that the continent holds. We're also very, very excited about the new regime in Nigeria and the opportunity we believe it will throw up in the area of building infrastructures, both social and physical infrastructure. And then basically the president has also been clear. There is a growth objective.
Yeah.
So when you have a leader that is very specific that I'm planning to grow the GDP by X, what he's telling the followers and the business community is that come along with me and we will achieve this together. And that's where an institution like FirstBank becomes extremely important. Part of the reason why this institution has remained very relevant and dominant over the last 130 years is that we are part of the national infrastructure in Nigeria. We're heavily invested in Nigeria. We're, like I said, an African bank with a Nigerian nucleus, which means our taproot, it's Nigeria. So we are very excited. We see the opportunity because when we work with the president to bake a bigger cake, because that's actually the simple way to put when you grow the GDP.
Yes.
You're saying bake a bigger cake. Invariably what you're doing is that you're creating new opportunities, not just for yourself. You're creating opportunities to address unemployment. And when people are employed, you're also addressing poverty. addressing insecurity. So we're very excited about what the future holds for Nigeria, but equally very important, our role on the continent of Africa.
Dr. Adesola Adeduntan, Chief Executive Officer of the FirstBank Group, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you for having me in Iran.
Thank you.
Bye.